I'm the author of Writing Proposal for Healthcare Management and Nursing Project or Dissertation book, whose ISBN number is 9781800946941. And you can access this book on Amazon, and you can find this link on this presentation paper, which is at the bottom there. In this presentation, I wanted to talk about chapter 5 of this book. I've extracted this chapter 5 because students do actually struggle a lot with this chapter or this section of either their proposal or their dissertation, which is their final dissertation report. So as I've explained, methodologies and methods section of ethics proposal and methodologies and methods chapter of the final dissertation or project report are very important because many students struggle with them to understand what they need to write. In this presentation, I will attempt to explain and go through one previous student sample which has been used in the book. I'll cover how search strategy section of secondary research is written in the proposal and how the same example is written in the methodology and method chapter of the dissertation or project report. I hope this will help to remove the misery some students face with this section of their research project proposal or their final dissertation. As I've said, this I believe will actually help adult nursing students to have a better understanding what is expected of them to put in these important sections of the proposal and dissertation report chapter, respectively. Although this justifies why spending more time in writing a research proposal saves you time when writing the final research report, which is a dissertation or project report. Now, before I go further, let me remind you that largely students are encouraged to use secondary research, also known as desk research, methodologies and methods for conducting their research for reasons already explained in the previous chapter of the book. Now, in this view, students need to find published articles, documents such as policy reports, company reports, newspaper articles, and others. All together, these are called secondary data, okay? That's very important because they tend to say, oh, where do I get data from? But this is the data you have. It's a secondary data because you are conducting secondary research. If you were conducting primary research, it would be different. But most of universities will actually encourage you to do secondary research. Therefore, it becomes clear that the students will need to, number one, which is identify relevant data sources, which also are known as databases that holds this secondary data. And you need to justify why you are choosing these databases. The reason is because there are many databases which you can actually access and get the data. But you need to make sure that you justify why you have chosen these ones. B, find ways, and these ways are also known as strategies for accessing those data in the chosen data sources, which are databases. So how are we going to access the data in the identified databases? C, find ways, again, these are called strategies of searching the relevant secondary data from these sources or bases. And again, you need to justify for choosing them. All this, they will become clear as I go through this student's example. D, find ways or strategies of narrowing the number of these relevant secondary data to a small number that can be handled and be used in your research or the project. And finally, you need to test the found relevant data or articles for credibility if you require it to do so. Now, all these, as this student has actually provided, he has given you the source where this is coming from. It's coming from Long, French, and Brooks, who are the authors, and they published this in 2020. So all these combined are known as literature search strategy. So that's what you need to start with. It's a literature search strategy, and they need to be explained clearly and in step by step in both your proposal and your final dissertation report. Your final dissertation report, this is found in methodology and methods, or just called the methodology chapter. So we need to know what you did, how you did it, and why you did the way you did it. In this presentation, I will also discuss, as I said, I will discuss one example of literature search strategies from previous student, which is demonstrating how it is written in the proposal and how the same is written in the final dissertation report or project report. Right, so I'll read exactly the way students has actually presented. This is the actual copy of the proposal from this particular student. So you can see there is starting with the author, the source, okay, the author, and this is the justification that he's making. So he says Saunders and Lewis and Thornhill in 2009 stated that the methodology refers to the theory of how research should be undertaken. So you can see this is what actually these authors say. And then, so how does the student use this knowledge? Okay. So he says this was important because it allowed the author, so it allowed him or her to use that knowledge and make informed choice of adopting secondary research methodology, which is also known as desk research. So you can see he's justifying why he has used the secondary research methodology, which is desk research. Okay, so he says the source of his justification or her justification is from these authors, Saunders, Lewis, and Thornhill. Now he says this is where data from previous research is used. So he's defining what is this secondary research. So he says it's where data from previous research is used, and the author adopted this methodology because it offered benefits of less time consuming. So this is advantages of using secondary research. Yeah, so less time consuming, and it provides readily available data and is less costly. So he chose it because it's cheap, because it costs less time, and also it is readily available. So these are the advantages. So you choose the methodology because it has advantages, but it does not necessarily mean you don't need to talk about disadvantages. So he says, despite these advantages, it has disadvantages of being out of date and not being specific or suitable to your study. And this, he says, is reported by Saunders and others in 2009. So why then did he choose this, despite the fact that there are these disadvantages? So he says, however, it was adopted because advantages outweighed its disadvantages. So he's justifying, yes, this methodology has got advantages and disadvantages, but still I went ahead and chose to use them. Why? Because the benefits were more important than actually the disadvantages, or the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. And this is how you present the work, which is very good. Okay. And then the next in that section is going to be the methods. Okay. Again, he's using Saunders in 2009, defined the research methods as techniques, which is different from methodology. And these are techniques and procedures that are used to obtain and analyze data. So therefore, if this is the definition, then he has acquired this knowledge from Saunders and others. And then what is important is how did he apply this knowledge to his own or her own work? This is what is important. So this chapter, dissertation and the project, is application of knowledge, not just writing about knowledge or theory. No, it's application of the theory. So it says this definition, okay, informed this study's author to identify relevant databases and other secondary data sources, including books, newspapers, and policy documents, identifying key and search words to be used for searching relevant articles from the databases, developing inclusion and exclusion criteria to be applied to narrow down the number of articles that were used for this study. And finally, use of a critical appraisal skills program, which is CASP, which is a tool to appraise the strength and limitations of studies published in those articles used in this study. So you can see he has used the knowledge above, but also is supported by this Long, French, and Brooks in 2020. So he's justifying, he's giving reasons or justification of why he has used this specific method. And how does the knowledge he gained informed what he was doing? So he applied, which is extremely important. So this is the way we expect you to write, which is very, very good. So then it starts with the identification of relevant databases, because that's what he has said there. So this definition informs him or her to do these activities there. So then he's trying to look at each one of them. So the first is to identify relevant databases. Again, we need to justify why you are choosing those databases. So it says literature search will be conducted. Remember, he's writing a proposal. So a proposal is written in the future. You are proposing what you're going to do in the future. So it says it will be conducted over 3 months in the 2023 period. Okay, so we know exactly how long this search of literature, search of articles, search of secondary data is going to take. And also we know which year it is going to take place. And then it gives us the main databases. So the main databases to be used for searching relevant articles will be obviously Sino, Wile, Online Library, NHS Library, and PubMed. And then we need to know, why are you choosing these databases? And that's the justification we need. So it says the main reason for choosing these databases are that they have advantages of being credible. So they are credible. So what does that mean? They say they do publish peer-reviewed articles, which is true, which are informative and is relevant to this particular her own or his own work, and is linked to mental health topics, because that's what he was studying with, which is the focus of the proposed research. So what is missing there, he also needed to put a reference where he got that these reasons are important. So he missed the reference there. So he needed in-text citation to justify that the reasons given here, they are the adequate reasons that researchers use to justify the choice of the databases. Okay, but overall, he has actually done extremely well. And then he talks about the search engine and key search words. Again, it was the next step he was talking about in the previous slide. The search engine, Google, will mostly be used to access the above website and databases because it is fast, okay? And the author is very conversant with it and has used it before for searching material for assignments. So he has skills, he has competences of using them. He has used them before, so he feels confident that he can use them. So he has justified why he's choosing Google as a most important search engine he's going to use. Okay, does not necessarily mean there are other search engines available, but why has he chosen Google? Okay, so that's really important. Yeah. Okay, so otherwise we would have chosen Firefox. There are more others which I can't remember, but there are quite a number of them. Then it looks at the search words. So the first search words is rapid tranquilization. Remember, it's dealing with mental health. So rapid tranquilization will be the key search words that will initially be keyed in to search for relevant articles from these electronic databases and websites. So if he's going to look at rapid tranquilization, then he's going to enter these search words in each of the databases he has identified in the previous slides, okay? And then he will be getting results from there, and he need to record the results he gets out of that. And then once he has done that, then the next, you need to combine them. So these are what we call Boolean operations or operators. You combine these search words and try to see whether you can broaden or obviously narrowing whatever you are searching for. So these will further be used in combination in various ways as shown in table 3.1 to find more focused articles. So he justifies why he was using this Boolean. Okay, so he wanted to get more articles. And this is the summary of what he's going to do, how he's going to actually search these databases. So on this side here, do I have that? This one here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so in this section here, yeah, they're actually the search words, which are keywords. And then across here, you can see these are the databases. So you have seen all this. So he enters the main search words here, and in here is supposed to have results. Now, because this is the proposal, this results section is going to be blank, but it tells us because it's a plan of how he was going to do it. So here you're going to have the total articles that he's actually finding from each of these. So you need to add them, this plus this plus this plus that. You add them together. The same here. Once he has combined this, then he's going to get results. Remember, he is using exactly the same combination for each database. You don't use different from each database. No, you do the same across, and then you should get results from here, and here you get total results in this column. So you add how many got here, how many got here, how many got here, how many got here, and then total. You do the same for the next combination, and then you have got the results here, okay, and then the total at the end there, okay. Then once you have done that, then you need to look at whether you're going to retrieve all the articles or not. So some articles might not be retrieved. So those that are retrievable versus those that you can't retrieve, and then you will have the total here that you need. Okay, and then that total you need to apply inclusion and exclusion criteria to narrow them further. Okay, and finally you get the total number of articles that you are going to actually you're going to use for your own research. But before you use them, again, you need to assess the credibility of your published research in each of these articles, which he has said you need to use CASP. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's continue. Okay. So remember, this is what you need in the proposal. Now we are going to look at the how this will be in the actual dissertation report or project report. So after you have conducted, so this is like a plan of how you're going to do search strategy. Okay. And this, if you can produce this, that would be great. Okay. So I can see here, use and the obviously inclusion and exclusion criteria. So inclusion and exclusion criteria will be used to allow the researchers to identify literature that is applicable to research question. Okay, so he justifies why he's using that. The justification is this article that he read, which is Aviad in 2010. Okay, so he has or she has justified. And now at the end of the whole literature search strategy process, the results will be summarized in table 3.1, which is the same as the one we had before, as I said, because this is the proposal. Okay, but in the actual research report on dissertation, these columns will be filled. Okay. Right. Okay. So once you have got these articles, then you need to appraise if you require it, because some may not actually bother. So check with the university. They might not really bother. So is actually justifying why is using a critical appraisal skills program, which is CASP tool. Yeah, so it says this is the most used tool for quality appraisal in health-related qualitative evidence synthesis. And now he has not explained that he was going to focus on only qualitative articles. No, so we assume he is going to use both qualitative and quantitative studies. So then how is going to assess the quality of these published research work? So he says other researchers argue that this tool is used for appraising the strength and the limitations of both quantitative and qualitative studies. So therefore, in this study, this tool will be used to appraise the chosen studies in the articles that will be retrieved regardless of whether they are qualitative or quantitative. So he's justifying why he's actually using only one tool to assess the credibility of both qualitative and quantitative studies. Okay, so very, very useful there. Okay, so now this is the final in your, once you have implemented this research strategy and you have extracted the materials, you have picked what you want, you have assessed everything, you have applied the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So in your actual dissertation report, which comes after you have conducted your research and then you have analyzed the data, which is your secondary data analysis, and then obviously this is what you're going to find in the dissertation report or project report. So as you can see now, this is filled, but these here, they are exactly the same as you had in the proposal. The same here, they are exactly the same you had in the proposal. So what you do is fill these areas which were not filled, okay? So these which were not filled, you guys can see, all right? So then obviously this total here is actually this plus this plus this plus this plus, and then the total here. Then again, this plus this plus this plus this, then you get the total here. The same here, this plus this, then you get the total here. Okay, so at the end, okay, we need to know the final number of articles. So from here, we can tell that the final number that obviously was used in this research is actually 6 articles. Okay, so there are 6 articles. Now, let me repeat this table. I've put it here so that you can see why it's important to have that table of planning searching strategy. If you develop that planning table in your proposal, it's going to help you a lot in the actual conducting of your research project, but also in the writing of your dissertation or project report. So this should not be in your proposal. This is in your final dissertation. Okay, yeah, I hope that makes sense. All right, okay, so if you have any questions, again, here are my contact details. You can send me an email, you can telephone me. This is a work telephone number. You have got that website link, which you can go. There are other things you can look at on my website, which can help you. If you need to obviously purchase the book or just purchase a page of the book or just a few pages of the book, depending what you are looking for, again, you have got this Amazon link. So I hope this is helpful to you, particularly mature or adult nursing students who are studying online. Already a student actually sent me a message from Zambia asking, does it mean that this is specifically only for nurses? No, anybody who is involved in any student who is involved in a research or a production of project reports or dissertation reports, this is also useful because the process are exactly the same, whether we are looking at nursing or looking at other areas of research in terms of developing or writing the dissertation or project. So you can use either. The only difference, I think I explained right in the first presentation or first video recording, how the nursing or healthcare related work differs from business management work. So we are focusing on cost profit in the business, but in here, in nursing and the other health related work, we are focusing on number of patients or people getting ill. So we're looking at incidences, preferences, morbidity, mortality. So these are very important. So you can see the difference. Doesn't necessarily mean health do not take care of costs. It's important for costs, but those people are doing management. So obviously healthcare management people, yes, they will be talking about the costs, talking about resources, talking about training, so competences, so all of those, which is totally slightly different from nursing, okay? But otherwise, the principles are exactly the same. Right, so I hope this helps, and I wish everybody happy studying and also enjoying your studies, particularly my colleagues who are adult nursing studying online. Thank you. Okay, bye for now.